Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Good evening, it's 5:30. This is Update for Wednesday, 23rd of August 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes to look at the latest news on the Isle of Man. A background to that news with sport and business and Sea-Watch and travel updates. And the newsmakers in person this evening. The Cummal Mooar residential home closure has been put on hold. A former Douglas nursing home could be demolished. The MV Manxman myths and realities. Southern Windfarm public meeting is next Tuesday, and the Ravens in action tonight on Merseyside.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
But first of all, the Update News headlines at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock. Faster My Lewis Foster.
Faster My. This evening's Manx Grand Prix qualifying session has been cancelled. Organisers say it's due to deteriorating weather around the Snaefell Mountain course. MGP competitor Ian Bainbridge has been described as a close friend to all in the paddock and a true gentleman. The 69-year-old was killed during last night's qualifying session. And the closure of Cummal Mooar residential home in Ramsey has been put on hold. It follows discussions between Manx Care and the Department of Health and Social Care, while conversations continue with Treasury over funding for a replacement facility. Further afield, India's spacecraft has started sending back its first images after touching down on the far side of the moon. The success of Chandrayaan-3 sparked wild celebrations at Mission Control in Bangalore. South Yorkshire Police admit dozens of court cases will be affected after it lost 3 years of body cam footage. The force says it doesn't believe it was hacked. And the row over the lack of a replica shirt for England goalkeeper Mary Earps has now reached the UK Parliament. A petition's been launched asking Nike to ensure it's selling the shirt worn by the World Cup Golden Glove winner. Those are the headlines. I'll be back with more at 6 o'clock.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Karamaya, thank you, Lewis, from the Ronaldsway Met Office. There is no wind warning operation for the North Irish Sea. State of sea is slight to moderate. And the weather, light rain and a moderate southerly. Hill fog is around and more rain this evening, drying through the night on a moderate west-northwesterly down to 12 degrees. And for Jardine, dry with sunny spells for Thursday and a light to moderate west-northwesterly. Top temperature 18, mostly dry after dark, overnight minimum 12. Into Jehenya, bright spells on Friday with scattered showers on a moderate to fresh westerly. Daylight maximum 18 Celsius. Sunset this evening, 28 minutes before 9. The late low tides at 12 minutes to 11. High water overnight, 14 minutes before 5. Sunrise tomorrow morning, 11 minutes past 6. And low tide at a minute past 11 a.m.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
The closure of Cummal Mooar residential home in Ramsey has been put on hold. It follows discussions between Manx Care and the Department for Health and Social Care, while conversations continue with Treasury over funding for a replacement facility. Manx Radio's Lewis Foster has been speaking with the Health and Social Care Minister Laurie Hooper, MHK.
It remains the Department's position and has always been the Department's position that we should be building a replacement facility in the north when Cummal Mooar does close. And I think the question that's arisen has always been around timing. When is that going to happen? How far through the Treasury process are we? And what happens to the existing facility while we complete that process? Those were kind of the open questions. So the statement today really is to try and provide some clarity to people to say that decision, that announcement rather, about the timeline of when Cummal Mooar is going to close, that's been put on hold following further discussions between the department and Manx Care. So as to give us a bit more time, I think, to continue those conversations with Treasury to get some clarity on funding funding for a replacement facility and make sure that everyone really is up to speed on what it is that's happening and when things are happening before any actual formal announcement or even any formal decision is made around the current facility.
So are you saying that press release sent out on the 27th of July has been incorrect, it's been misconceived, and this whole situation has been blown out of proportion?
I would say that I think that aspects of that press release have been misunderstood, I think, in terms of what's been communicated publicly, because what's being talked about, I think, by Manx Care even at the time was around the currently proposed plans, rather than conceptually that there wasn't anything progressing. And I think we've been clear that actually we are looking at what that design needs to look like in terms of the service that will be provided from that facility. And I think there's been some confusion around how this interacts with the long-term funding of nursing residential care work that's going on and the consultation on that's going to be launched later in the year. A little bit of confusion, I think, around how this ties in with the home care model. Just for absolute clarity, any decisions around potentially closing Cummal Mooar, when that building is going to close, those decisions have been put on hold until we finish going through this Treasury process regarding funding for a replacement facility.
You've got the opportunity to discuss plans for new wind farms on the Isle of Man. Arbury and Russian commissioners have organised a public meeting next Tuesday, 29th of August, at Arbury Parish Hall in Ballabeg. Starts at 7 o'clock. It's after Manx Utilities identified two sites as being potentially suitable: Sulby and Druiddale and Eristane and Scars. Commissioner Jane Glover.
We have had quite a few people, whether it be through email, telephone conversations, Facebook comments. There's been a lot of response to the news about the wind farm. So as a board, we collectively felt it was important to listen to our parishioners' views, the people that are for wind farm developments in the area, people that have concerns about the development. So that's why we felt we would support the meeting. Currently, being honest, the majority of the correspondence has been from people that have concerns, people that are concerned that live in the area, that their property value might drop, people with concerns about the biodiversity, the wildlife within the area, noise pollution, vibrations. So at the moment, it is leaning more towards people that have concerns. But we'd like to hear from as many people as possible, because we know with a parishioner level of about 3,500 people, there must be a lot of people out there that do have an interest and ideas and views on this topic. The MUA, we've invited them to attend as a board of commissioners. The MUA kindly came down and presented some information to us. So we have made them aware of this meeting and have invited them to attend. So we've got some knowledge, but they have more knowledge than us. So we're optimistic that they will be able to be present as well to answer any questions that the public may have.
This is the most listened to Isle of Man news source, and Manx Radio's Update is the Isle of Man's most downloaded news podcast.
The Ravens are in action tonight. FC Isle of Man will be out for revenge this evening as they travel to face a Lilland Remker side, which soundly beat them at the Bowl a few weeks ago in the NWCFL Premier Division. In charge for the next few games, FC Isle of Man assistant manager Alex Harrison.
It's exciting. We've got a plan. We've got 3 games in less than a week, so we've got a big squad as well, so we've got to utilise that squad. So yes, I'm excited. Just some of these players I've not worked with before up until this season, so it's good to work with these good players, and I'm looking forward to it. It's keeping people on their toes, whereas maybe in previous years they've been quite secure in their position. So training's really intense. And everyone's fighting for the positions. Some hopefully get a few debuts over the next few games and give these lads an opportunity to showcase themselves. We've worked quite a lot on what we're going to do when we don't have the ball, and then also what we want to do when we have the ball. So we watched the film back. We weren't great that day, just a bit of an off day for us, I suppose. But I think since that game, we've worked on defensive security. I think it's worked in the last couple of games, so I think we can take that on into tonight's game. I think you always have to change slightly on the opposition. The sort of formations of the team tonight and the team on Saturday, for example, played completely different. So we need to give the players those sort of instructions and those ideas, so that when they're on pitch, they can just implement what we're trying to do. So it's definitely different each game. I mean, in terms of experiment, it's not really. We've kind of gone with a set plan from Paul. He's kind of give us a bit of leeway in terms of player person times, but I think in terms of the structure and stuff, I'm not going to change that. That's working. The last 2 games has proved that, so we've just got to take that into these next 3 games, make a few tweaks based on formations and stuff, but yeah, everything will pretty much be the same.
The Isle of Man Steam Packet's undertaking a campaign to clarify some myths about the motor vessel Manxman, the new flagship. The company says a number of rumours about the new ship have appeared on social media since its arrival in Manx waters. Here's Lewis Foster.
It starts with whether or not the Manxman is allowed to sail in anything more than a stiff breeze. Of course it can, the Steam Packet says. It's designed specifically for Irish Sea weather conditions. There is a temporary wind restriction in Heysham Port, however, while the crew builds up their real-world experience in a variety of conditions. This is common, it says, and will be gradually eased as the masters gain experience. Another falsehood, it says, has appeared in the comment sections online is that the Manxman can't sail at night. The fact is, Manxman is fully capable of sailing at any time of day, it says, and the vessel successfully sailed from South Korea to the Isle of Man, steaming day and night. The vessel is currently completing daytime-only sailings in a scheduled working-up phase, though, but after a month of daytime sailings, Manxman will complete a month of overnight sailings before taking over the full twice-daily Douglas to Heysham return service. The Steam Packet says this allows them to keep Ben McCree in service, ready at a moment's notice, if for any reason Manxman is unable to make a sailing. Some of the rumours, it seems, are about the finer details, like the windows on the Manxman's bridge are too heavily tinted. The company denies this, saying there is more than sufficient clarity and range of sight through the windows, and it's against regulations to have tinted glass installed on the bridge anyway. And finally, in the list of myths so far is that the Manxman's life jackets have all had to be replaced. Nonsense, says the Steam Packet, as the passenger ship safety certificate was received after an extremely rigorous inspection and sign-off from the Isle of Man Ship Registry, and no new life jackets were required.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
And talking of which, the motor vessel Manxman departed Heysham at 3:15. She'll be into Douglas at about 7 o'clock tonight, or shortly before that. At the moment, the Ben McCree is discharging some cargo. Manxman departs, Ben McCree departs this evening at 8:15 and arrives in Heysham at a minute to midnight. The overnight departure for the Ben, 2:15 back to Douglas at 6 tomorrow morning. Now, Manannan, the fastcraft, left Douglas at 3:03. She's in the Mersey as I speak, will be on the link span in about 10 minutes or so, departing this evening at 7:45 back to Douglas at 10:30. There's an 03:15 Manannan departure to Douglas, arriving around 6. And then tomorrow morning, Manannan goes back to Liverpool at 7:30. The Manxman departs Douglas at 8:45 for Heysham.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
A motorist from Andrews who hit a mother while she was out walking with a baby has been banned from the roads. The story from Tessa Hawley.
David Ronald Atherton of Kean Droghead Road was told he must have had a momentary lapse of concentration during sentencing at Douglas Courthouse. The 27-year-old was driving his Toyota Hilux Invincible on Johnny Watterson's Lane at around 11:30 in the morning on the 15th of June. But he clipped the curb and the trailer he was towing jackknifed, mounting the pavement and striking the woman and her 11-month-old child. Atherton was arrested and told police he'd been driving at between 25 and 30 miles per hour at the time, adding, "Until I actually stopped, I didn't realise I'd hit her." He later admitted to causing serious bodily harm by driving without due care or consideration. The woman spent 16 days in hospital after suffering serious injuries, including multiple fractures to her pelvis, lacerations and chipped teeth. The court heard she has no recollection of what happened. Her daughter was not injured, but her pram was destroyed. A victim impact statement was read to the court from the woman, who revealed she's now heavily reliant on her family to help her with the most basic tasks following the crash. Her mother has given up her employment to help care for her granddaughter, with the woman telling the court, "I can't pick up or carry my daughter." Fining Atherton £1,300 and ordering him to pay £1,449 in compensation, Deputy High Bailiff Rachel Braidwood told him that momentary lapse has had a significant effect. Atherton was also ordered to pay prosecution costs of £125 and was banned from driving for 12 months and until he's taken and passed an extended test.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 5:45 in corporate news, British multinational consumer goods company Reckitt Benckiser gained after announcing the departure of Chief Financial Officer and Executive Director Jeff Carr, who plans to retire at the end of March next year. Shannon Eisenard, who currently serves as CFO of the consumer brand and marketplace at Nike, will join the consumer goods group on the 17th of October. And for a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookall.com. Travel is set to become a $15.5 trillion industry. That's 14.2 trillion euros over the next decade, making up nearly 12% of the global economy. A new report from the World Travel and Tourism Council says it'll show a 50% increase in value since 2019. What's stayed the same since 2019, however, is the places making the most money off tourism, namely the United States, China, Germany, the UK and Japan. Other European countries in the top 10 are France, Italy and Spain. Travel is also expected to play a major role in global labour markets, with the sector expected to employ 430 million people by 2033, or 1 in every 9 jobs in the world. Some 334 million jobs were travel-related in 2019, and the travel industry is growing much faster than the overall economy. While global GDP is expected to grow about 2.6% a year, travel and tourism will nearly double the number.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK and European stocks closed higher. US stocks opened modestly up, and oil slid. Gold extended gains above $1,900. And the numbers now from Ramsey Crookall at the close in London. The FTSE 100 up 0.7% at 7,320. The DAX in Frankfurt closed up almost 0.2% at 15,732. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial Index up just over 0.4% at 34,444. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index up 1.5% at 13,714, and the S&P 500 up nearly a single percentage point at 4,429. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling is trading at $1 27 cents, €1 17 cents, and 23 South African rand 44.8 cents. In commodities, gold's up just over 1% at $1,917 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude down 0.7% at $83.24.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future for a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
A planning application has been submitted to demolish a former nursing home in Douglas and build 5 new houses. Here's Siobhan Fletcher.
Care Developments Limited wants to knock down Eastfield Mansion House to create 5 new 4-bedroom houses with associated garages, parking, amended access, amended draining and landscaping. Each proposed house would have a small front garden and a larger rear garden. The applicant says the development will make efficient use of a brownfield site and will develop 5 new homes in the centre of Douglas at a density of approximately 13 dwellings per acre. The design of the new dwellings will be in the context of the character of the locality, with the houses being in a terrace. The care home closed its doors in 2017 and the building has remained unoccupied ever since. It sits in the northwestern corner of an informal square formed by Westmount, Eastfield, Mount Bradder and Brighton Terrace in Douglas.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio Sport.
Fast am I, Rob Pritchard.
Fast am I. Good evening. Tributes are being paid to a Manx Grand Prix rider who has died following an incident in last night's qualifying session. Ian Bainbridge from Barnard Castle was involved in a crash on the exit of Kirkmichael Village on his first lap of Tuesday's session. The 69-year-old was a regular competitor in classic racing classes, having made his debut on the mountain course in 2005, with his best finish coming in the 2010 Classic Senior Manx Grand Prix when he finished 8th. The MGP has passed on its deepest sympathy to Ian's family and loved ones. Separately today, John McGuinness set down a strong marker to beat at over 110 miles an hour in the Classic Senior Bikes as one of the standout performances during this afternoon's MGP qualifying session. Among the highlights during a busy few hours earlier on the Snaefell Mountain course, Michael Dunlop maintained his Classic Superbike supremacy just off lap record speed at 125.699 miles an hour, ahead of David Johnson in second and Dean Harrison in third. What's more, Dunlop also topped the leaderboards in the lightweight MGP at 115.964 miles an hour, ahead of Ian Locker, who'd been top of the lightweight competitors over the last 2 sessions. Elsewhere, there was change at the top of the junior MGP category as Italian competitor Andrea Maiola set the best pace. In the senior MGP session, Daniel Ingham finished top of the pile as he and second place Tom Robinson both went past the 120 mile an hour mark, whilst an impressive ride from Manx newcomer Joe Yeardsley put him third. In the newly introduced ultra lightweight machines, it was Paul Cassidy for the second session running who set the pace. Meanwhile, tonight's evening qualifying has now been cancelled due to deteriorating weather conditions. As a result, tomorrow afternoon's contingency session will be used as well as the evening slot. Therefore, on Thursday, roads around the mountain course will shut at 12:30pm until 4:30pm. They will then reopen for a short time before shutting once more at 6pm and reopening once more no later than 9pm.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Inbound at Ronaldsway, the 10 to 8 Loganair from London City on time, the 5 to 8 Loganair from Liverpool, and the 25 to 9 EasyJet from Gatwick, all showing on time. Next outbound, 6 o'clock Loganair to Liverpool, and then it's the 9 EasyJet back to London Gatwick. On the roads, East Quays closed in Peel between the House of Manannan and the Road Bridge. In Douglas, Hillside Avenue is closed for adjacent office window replacement till the middle of June next year. In Farm Hill, Annika Road and Cushiock Road closed in phases for resurfacing, and temporary lights on Springfield Road, Paul Rose for work on the pavements. The Doon Loop Road is closed for ditching work in Glenmona. You got temporary lights on the Harbour Road in Onken at the Fairway Junction for gas main reconnection work. In Mackle, Dreamskerry Road closed between Jacks Lane and Dreamskerry Hill for telegraph pole replacement. In Port Erin, watch out on Church Road. There's some lights there near Southlands for gas main work. You heard Rob tell you that tomorrow the mountain course is closed midday 30 to 4:30 and 6 till 9. Of course, the mountain road's open two-way at the moment. There is fog on the mountain road and cycling is prohibited.
H&Hmotorcycles.im for all your motorcycle requirements. Southgate Industrial Estate, opposite Quayside Tyres. Call 665646.
Responses to a consultation into traffic calming measures in Douglas Central show the majority of people will be in favour of a new 20 mile an hour zone. The feedback's been published online, follows petitions from residents in 2020 calling for improved road safety around residential areas and Ballacameen High School. Douglas Central MHK and former Infrastructure Minister Chris Thomas.
It's amazing that so many people took so much time to make comments and to come along to the open evening and to ask for written paper questionnaires and to fill them in and send them back to people. This is a very rich data source that will help people, politicians and others, make plans for that part of Douglas, the area around Ballacameen High School, for years to come. Second thing that stands out is there's a very clear steer from the Department of Infrastructure, which is the case, which is the project has now been stood down and it can only start again if there's funding available, because not only does it cost money to put down drop curbs and crossings and 20 mile per hour signs and anything else that needs to be done, you also need to have a person to manage that project. So, full respect to the officers, because they've left behind a 52-page report full of information that will be useful, and I really hope, as a local MHK, that Treasury has the sense to provide the money to continue this project, because it's much needed.
The 20 mile per hour speed limit, 77% of respondents said they'd support that. Does that come as any surprise to you at all?
Not at all. And what else? Some people got confused confused and thought that the proposal was for Peel Road and Quarterbridge and Bray Hill and Woodburn Road to be 20 miles per hour. That was never the proposal. It was only the roads inside that boundary. And what's more is that Albany Road, Somerset Road and Alexander Drive also came out from the public consultation as roads that needed to be 30 miles per hour. So that's another finding that I think is pretty clear. We have to remember this is not a referendum, but it's incredibly useful insight because most of those 590 or so people who responded were local people, and they've really taken the time to tell the department, what they think, which is exactly why the department started this engagement in this way.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
Improving the flow of skilled workers into the adult care sector was the topic of recent discussions between University College Isle of Man and employers and managers from within the sector. Talks covered the kind of training and skills required to continue support for the sector. Here's UCM Vice Principal Joe Richardson.
We had meetings with both the childcare sector and the adult care sector. There wasn't quite such a great impact with the adult care sector because there are other training companies in the island that also offer support to these companies, as well as us, of course. There's a great news. There is a massive shortage of people working in the adult care sector. We do what we can here at UCM to train young people to prepare them for the sector, but there's always opportunities for people to think about as a retraining career to go in and support the sector. Obviously, people do need to be caring. They need empathy. They need patience. They need to have confidence in themselves. These are all the sort of like the social skills they need alongside some technical skills in terms of looking after patients.
Now, the meeting that you held, were you encouraged by the level of interest in getting involved in this kind of work?
Oh, yes. We had over 15 different companies represented. It was really good. It was really good to meet them all.
Now, you currently offer various courses relating to the sector already. Is there great scope to expand that provision in response to the needs or the specific needs of business on the island?
Yes, actually, it was quite insightful listening to them. There was the sorts of courses we thought they might want weren't the things they were looking for. In particular, they said they needed more leadership and management courses. So we are putting on some leadership and management starting in October this year to hopefully support them. They're also looking for assessor and verifier training. To the uneducated, those are the qualifications you need to be able to assess your own staff in the workplace to help them to achieve qualifications in the workplace. So it's very much more about the adult care sector developing their own and being able to get their own qualifications.
That's it for Update Tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Lewis Foster, producer Rhiann Evans. I'm Andy Wint, back with another update tomorrow at 5:30.
WINT